This will be from a different part of the book. The chapter about the white stripes. I might need some light, actually. Well, I didn't write it, so. Ah, beautiful. Can you see that up there? The white stripes. The true nature of the relationship between Jack and Meg White is a much debated rock and roll urban legend. Are they brother and sister? Are they former husband and wife? Here now is a telegram which, once and for all, shines the light of truth on a truly amazing story. Dear Mom/Meg, you may want to sit down. I'll give you a minute to find a place to sit. Okay, you're probably sitting by now. When you are ready, continue to the next telegram. Okay, here goes. The young man who just knocked on your door and hand-delivered the very note you are reading right now was in fact none other than your son, Jack White. Me. I know you are going to find this hard to believe, which is why I wrote this and delivered it in the first place. I figured it would be easier for you to digest it in this way, although I'm sure you still won't believe this to be true. I am 25 years old and I am from the future. To make a long story short, I asked a scientist friend of mine to help out, and he built a sports car called a DeLorean into a time machine, and then I drove this car back here to the year 1974 in September, the month before I was conceived. I have come here on a mission. I want to start a two-piece rock and roll band, and I need a drummer. I've been holding auditions for quite some time now, and no one is working out. I've been racking my brains for the last few months trying to think of someone that might be a good fit, and it finally hit me. I started thinking about how you always talked about wanting to be a drummer, but didn't have the time once I was born. I remember the story you told me about flipping a penny. Heads, you'd pursue playing the drums for a living. Tails, you'd have a baby. It's hard to think of a coin flip as a 1 cent abortion, but I spent a lot of time thinking about how, if that coin had landed on heads, I wouldn't be here today. I figuratively wouldn't be here today alive, and I literally wouldn't be here today asking my mom to come back to the future and play drums in my band. I know you didn't mean it to be, but that story has been quite a burden of guilt to carry around all these years, my albatross. But don't feel bad, Mom/Meg. I bear no grudge or ill will. If anything, it has fueled and inspired me to figure out the best way to give back to the one person who sacrificed so much for me. So I have come to ask you to come back with me to the future and be a drummer, my drummer, in our band. I understand if this is a lot to take in. And think about. Please take all the time you need to figure out what you want to do. I have a time machine, so time is not of the essence. I already have a plan for explaining to the public who you are. We will create a myth that you are either my sister or my ex-wife. I know it'll be weird to think about us in those terms, Mom/Meg, but we can't let anyone know that I have a time machine. There are these terrorists trying to obtain some information. If they find out about it, they will surely go after my scientist friend and try to kill him. So, that's the way it'll have to be. I love you, and I'm glad you had me, but now is your chance to unhave me and live the life you always wanted. So what do you say? Much love, your son/Jack.
Scott asked me if he wanted me to go away, or if I wanted him to go away, and I said yes. But only away from the podium, because he's done reading his piece. I don't want him to go away from me spiritually or emotionally. I want you to remain very close to me. Too late? Oh, so our friendship is over. No, get your jacket and leave the bookstore. What? Absolutely not will you read. That's exactly why you're not going to read, because I don't want you to, and I'd like you to leave the bookstore, and if you don't, I'm going to have the police called. What's that? Great, go read it anywhere you want but here. Absolutely not. Great. Come do it right now. And see what happens. I'm going to sock you with this. I'm going to sock you. Don't make me do this.
Preface. The artist studies anatomy in order to... You gonna hit me?
You get out of here. You get up and pick up that book you dropped. Scott and I go back a very long ways, and we have a natural banter that I think is very enjoyable. Clearly, that was a spontaneous, just fun bit we just did, and but you know, maybe there's some truth in it. Let's move on. This next one I wanted to show is from the Velvet Underground. It's a short one, but I'd like to show it. The Velvet Underground is one of the most influential bands of all time, and its first album, The Velvet Underground and Nico, is one of the most influential albums. Its cover is an instantly recognizable and ubiquitous design, making the group one of the most legendary rock bands ever. I think that's pretty safe to say. Part of the legend is their association with another legend, the artist Andy Warhol, who did the artwork for what has come to be known as the Banana Album. What many people don't know is that the album almost came to be known as the 6 Foot Party sub-album, as this was Warhol's original choice for the cover's artwork. Another legend to add to a band already filled with legendary stories is that only Lou Reed approved of the original cover. This is the original cover with the banana, and here is the cover that it almost was. And I just think it's a great detail that they actually, you know, he put the dimensions in. 6 feet. Because I think without the dimensions, you'd probably look at that album and think it was a foot long. But with the dimensions, it just gives it a whole other scope. And I mean, even as a work of art, it would have lent itself even to the scope of the music. But now it's just the album is what it is. This next one I'd like to read is somewhat close to my heart. I'm from the Detroit area, and this is a Detroit musician. It's about Bob Seger. And I'm always have been a fan of his music, not because I'm from the same town, but that's certainly a big part of it. And finding this one out, basically with the book, with those easy top letters, it just inspired me to travel the globe and just try to find things out about bands, before other people, whether they were literal children or figurative children of these artists, found out these truths or untruths or whatever you want to define them as, and were as upset as me for whatever reason and on whatever level. So it was, for me, upsetting to find this out about Bob Seger. Not even upsetting, just emotional on some level. It would appear that Bob Seger's gift for writing great songs came at quite a price. Seger was in psychoanalysis for years to deal with a particular problem that is as shocking as it is enlightening. And here now are his analyst's notes from some of the sessions. March 17th, 1980, Bob Seger. Subject continues to express feelings of being a werewolf. Subject is convinced that when the moon is full, he becomes a creature of the night. Subject doesn't particularly care for long hair and beards, but thinks this is why his inclination is to wear his hair long and grow facial hair. Claims it is his instinct, refers to it as his quote-unquote day wolf self. Subject claims this is the reason why he named his band the Silver Bullet Band, so he never forgets that he is a werewolf. Subject claims he woke up naked and covered in blood, which inspired him to write the song Night Moves. Subject reminds me that werewolves, quote, move in the night. Night moves, unquote. Subject claims he tried to make lyric generic to sound like the story of a human, didn't think people would respond to his song about a werewolf, but the song really is about a werewolf. Subject reminds me again that werewolves, quote, move in the night. Night moves. Night moves. Unquote. May 8th, 1980. Subject claims he woke up in the Detroit Zoo in the lion's den next to 3 dead lions. Cites this as inspiration for the song Still the Same. Subject clarifies that while lyrics would appear to imply the story of a nemesis or ex-girlfriend who hasn't changed, the song is actually about a man who, even though he wants to believe he is not a werewolf, is still a werewolf. Or, quote, still the same, unquote, as Subject says. Subject claims that touring is booked in conjunction with the use of a farmer's almanac to schedule shows around full moons. Subject clarifies that if the band were to ever go on late or do a few encores, Subject would not want to turn into a werewolf in front of fans. Subject further claims that stage manager wears a gun loaded with silver bullets for just such an emergency. August 18th, 1980. Subject sat silent for the entire session until the end, when he told me that We've Got Tonight is actually a song about a werewolf. November 29th, 1980. Subject agrees to answer several yes and no questions. Are you a werewolf? Yes. Have you always been a werewolf? No. Is there any chance you are not a werewolf? No. Do you know the time you became a werewolf? No. Are all your songs about werewolves? Yes. Does the band The Eagles know that the song you co-wrote for them, Heartache Tonight, is about a werewolf? No. Do you ever plan on telling them? No. If any of your songs go on to become the official song of a major corporation, say for example a car company, or become massively famous for being in a movie, would you tell that corporation or movie studio that the song they purchased to promote their product or brand is actually a song about a werewolf? No. So pretty fucked up. It's fucked up shit. But I still love his songs, and I'll still support him. This next, has Scott Adsit been escorted out of the building yet? All right, let's please call the police and have him taken out. This next photo I'd like to show is has nothing to do with the book. My dog had to go to the dentist and have teeth removed, and they saved the teeth and gave them to me. And so I just thought they were pretty cool, so I wanted to show you a photo of them. She had 7 teeth removed. That looks like more than 7. I think some of them are half teeth or something like that. Bloody, disgusting dog teeth. There's a close-up, a little tighter shot. Those teeth could kill. Those teeth could kill. So, just like how they're just gently resting on that gauze. Just disgusting. God damn it, look at those things, man. So I'm going to save them, I think. My wife is not happy about that, but I'm saving them. And this will become the new Glaser family heirloom that gets passed down for generations. This final set of letters that I want to read from the book